Hello there. Well, it's Fiona from Weekly Sewing Bee, and I am going to do 3 very simple bookmarks. And the reason I'm doing this is, you know, end of school, get your teachers a present, or even getting ready for Christmas. But yes, the whole idea of this is presents, little crafty presents. Now, I would say there's nothing here that an 8-year-old couldn't do. So, you know, if you have a really smart 4-year-old, then they can do it. Okay, so acrylic paint. You can buy it in a craft shop. It's quite easy. Yeah. When it dries, if you leave it to dry completely, then it will be able to go through the washing machine. But I don't really know how often you wash bookmarks, so it's going to stay there. And I'm just going to write thanks. I'm not going to do anything terribly difficult. Haven't got the right sort of brush, so yes. I know, it's terrible, isn't it? So yeah, I'm just going to write thank you, and then I am going to let this dry. Okay, so for this project I'm using curtain liner, and I'm using a little strip, so but it is whatever you can get hold of. And there you go, thanks. That's enough, isn't it? It's a good demonstration. I'm going to put that out the way, and I'm going to give this a chance to dry. Now I'm going to decorate this with pom-pom. I know, I like pom-poms. So I've got a normal eating fork, yeah, probably not best used, best silver, and I'm going to wind this round just like this, just like this. So yeah, I've probably gone round maybe 15 times. So I've got quite a lot of wool there, and I'm just going to snip off the end, and I'm going to squeeze it along the end a bit. Now you can either use a darning needle, or depending on how your patient level is, just push this end through. So this is a separate piece of wool, and all I'm doing is pushing it through, and then I'm taking it through the middle fork. So that's what I've got left with, and I'm going to do a little knot. Okie dokie. I know, very, very simple. So, get a bit closer. I've got the loop that I go round, and then I've pushed a bit of wool up through the middle and then tied it off. Now, I'm going to keep this long bit on there, but I'm going to tidy up my other ends. Now all I need to do is I need to slide it off the fork and cut these ends. I know, so either very sharp nail scissors would work. These are quite thin, so I can push this through, and I'm literally just cutting them all off in half. And because it's so tiny, and I want it to be tiny, it's quite easy to do. So that's great. Yeah, take your time with this. If you have to do one thread at a time, you have to do one thread at a time. You know, there's no two ways about it. Even with like proper equipment here, I still missed a couple of threads. So I can now poof that out and trim off any huge bits. Okay. I'm going to allow my paint to dry, and then I'll be right back with you. So you won't see any time passed. Hello there, welcome back. So I have my piece of fabric with my painting dry, and I have my pom-pom here. I've got craft bits everywhere, I'm afraid. Sorry about the mess. Now, I think it would be nice to have a point on it. So what I've done is I've taken the fabric And this is a piece of curtain lining, by the way. I don't know if I said. So it's not a terribly difficult piece of fabric to get hold of, and relatively cheap as well. And of course you don't need a lot of it. So all I'm doing is I'm sewing a straight line. All I need to remember is to make sure that I'm catching both bits of cloth, and I need to remember to have bits where I can turn it inside out. Now I've left the needle down and lifted the foot just to go over this corner, because I want the corner nice and sharp. But when I get to the point, I'm going to lift the foot again. I'm going to take my pom-pom and I am going to put it inside here. And then I am going to start sewing again. Now what's a good thing to do when we do this is just go over it a couple of times, and then you know it's thoroughly secure. So what I've done is I've taken the end of the piece of wool and I've just done another row of stitches over it, because this is on the inside, nobody's going to see it. The only problem is I'm now getting it caught up on my foot. So the next corner, and I'm going to sew down, but I'm going to leave a gap about that much just to turn it inside out. And I'm going to make sure my pom-pom is pushed to the far side so that I don't sew over it, because that can happen. Lovely. I've done a couple of reverse stitches because there is going to be some pressure on this seam just whilst we turn it inside out. Trimmed off my ends. And because this fabric is quite thin, I'm going to make sure that I trim off all my ends so that you can't see through them. Alrighty, so we're turning it inside out. And I recommend you get a nice pair of blunt scissors and you just push out these corners. Because you do want, even though it's simple, you still want it to look nice. Alright, it's very tempted to pull that to turn it inside out, but I'm not going to. I don't think it would. I'm not going to risk it. So, especially if you've gone to all that trouble and you've done something quite pretty on your painting. Okay, so I'm just using my scissors just to push out these corners. So what I'm left with is this. Okay, with my finger, if I push that down and pull at the same time, it kind of turns it inside out. Okay, now give it a go a couple of times. If not, you're going to have to pin it closed. Now, if I just sewed there, that'd look really untidy, wouldn't it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew all the way around, and that way I'm going to make it look as if it's all part of the design, because we can get away with anything as long as we plan to do it. Trust me, trust me. So, I've got my bit turned inside out, and again I'm going to leave my needle down and pull this. Okay. If I'm not in a position where I can go slow enough that I can turn it round, then I'm going to adjust it with my handle. So lovely. I'm thinking nice, crisp, straight lines. That's what I'm thinking. Leave my needle, and this is loose as anything, you know, so I can turn it quite easily. There we are. Now what I'm going to do when I get to the original stitches is I'm going to very carefully stitch over a couple of stitches. This just keeps it finished off nicely, and it's the tidiest way to do it. Because if I went backwards and forwards, and I shouldn't need to, it's not going to have a hard life, this bookmark. It's just going to be used as a bookmark. Then it's yeah, tidy. but not overly strong. Okie dokie. Making sure that I've cut all my ends off so that it looks tidy, and any flaky bits I'm going to trim those as well. Now the nice thing about doing it and turning it inside out and sewing is that I'm not going to have any of the paint show through on the back because I waited for it to dry, and I think it just looks more tidy, and it's a present, so you know, a little bit of work into it isn't too bad. So there we are, my bookmark. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, share and subscribe, and I hope to catch you again soon.